Hi all. Right, back to Normandy, the beginning of the end, using the Alone in the Storm solo expansion. Just playing scenario 1, patrol in the front. We're playing as Americans, and the Germans are going to be the AI. So I went through most things in part 1. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I could have added to that, but it'll come up as I play because I'm really just going to be learning this game myself, which seems to be the norm now with my playthroughs. I remember when the very first playthrough I done, and it was enemy action or den, and I was quite well keyed up in the game. I'd played it a couple of times, and I wanted to do the video properly and not try and not make mistakes. That's my biggest goal, is to not make mistakes. I'll be doing the same here, but I think I've let things slack a little because I was maybe a bit hypocritical, because I used to say, well, you shouldn't really do a recording unless you've played the game and understand it and whatever. I might have said that back in the time, but I've realised that games keep coming in. You keep getting more games and you want to play them, and I found this is one of the best ways for me to learn that, is to press record and get on with it. So here we go. Okay, I'm not going to go on too much because I'm sure there's going to be a lot coming up here. So it's turn 1, and well, just checking the sequence of play again, and of course it's slightly different with the solo game. So we've got the command phase. Now that says in the solo game, it says this phase is performed in the same way as in 2-player game. In solitaire mode, you must determine which platoons from each side are in command and which are out of command. So basically, it's just a quick glance, and because it's the start of the game, everything's in command. These 3 companies are all in command. These 3 intel markers, which are companies, are off the map anyway. I'm sure this is how they start, and then when we move these are going. Their first move is going to be onto the hex that it says where they are deployed, and they're just adjacent to these hexes. What I'm a little unsure, but I realise that we've got to decide. There's a process to decide which one of these gets which one of these activity levels. Now there's 2 highs and there's 1 medium. You can see they're all infantry A's anyway, so it's not probably going to make any difference. But we'll get to that. But anyway, they are. Whether we look at them as being in command, because they're off the map anyway. So that's that phase done. And then the next phase with the solo side of it is the headquarter phase. So this is not in the 2-player game, and this is when we determine the attitude. Now, it's already set at the beginning that they're on a rush 4, which is an aggressive thing, because nobody's got any objectives. They're wanting to get some objectives as well. We're both in the same position really here. So that's been calculated. However, in the next turn it might be calculated, and when we'll need to calculate again, it might be different. So and then that also produces these 3 markers. So I think we've done that right. I think we've got these 3. I'm pretty sure we only need 3 because there's only 3 markers. So I think all that's good. And then the next phase after that, it says these activity markers. It was about where to put these, but I think that gets decided later. It says they should be placed in the appropriate officer box of the headquarter board. Now, I think this is the headquarter board here. I've never showed this before. So once we find, because these are just intel markers, and it carries on by saying that, it says, or below intel markers on the game board that haven't been identified yet. So these are going to go underneath these, or to be honest, I think I'd probably put it on top of it. It says underneath, but I mean, these are smaller markers than these. So anyway, I think once we find the company, and let's just say this is Lieutenant Wutka, there he is there. So then I think we would put the activity level marker on this board here to show what his activity level was, rather than clutter up the board. So, but because we don't know who this is yet and whatever, then this is how we do it. After this HQ phase ends, the AI side has a defined general attitude, offensive or defensive. It's offensive, it's got a rush of 4. And there's an example there. And then we're in an initiative phase. Like a 2-player game, it's decided by a die roll. But however, on turn 1, the Americans have the initiative, so let's get by that. And then finally, well, not finally, but then it's into activation phase and performing actions. So that's where we're at now. So the Americans are taking the first turn. So let's see if we can get something moving. I feel like this is all a bit far away, but I wanted space. I think I could bring this down a little bit. Let me adjust things a little bit, I think. Right, I think that's better. That's a wee bit better. It's a wee bit closer to me now. And yeah, because they're small maps, but there's plenty of paperwork to be lying about. And I want to try and show some of these rules for folks as well, because yeah, there's a bit to grasp, and it's not so much the 2-player game side of it. I think that's probably quite straightforward. It's just getting the solo side of things done right. So we can pick an officer now to, well, let's just make sure. So we're in the, sorry, hang on, sequence of play. This is the activation phase and performing actions. So this is on page 5 of the main rules. I won't show so much of this. I think when it comes to the solo and some of the charts and the full charts and that, we'll look at that maybe. So during the activation phase, players alternate activating an officer or an out of a command platoon. Well, we've no out of a command platoon, so we're going to activate one of our 3 officers, either from B company, E company, or F company. And then, because we've got the initiative, yeah, and then once we've finished, once we put, we'll give it all commands, everybody will be in command, and they'll all get to make a move, then I'll pass over the AI. So let's do that. Let's try and just get a move in, Grant. Come on. Right, I'm just going to pick, well, actually, now we've got a terrain, I've kept the terrain chart handy there, because I'm not sure of, oh, wait a minute. What I think I want to do is try and grab this right away, and it looks reasonably straightforward, because I mean this platoon in itself, well, let's decide. See, I think these should probably be trying to go up to get this one, these should be going towards this one, and then these should be coming along the bottom here, and then once these have hit there, maybe come down to the town. On saying that, these start on the road, so they get an extra movement. Yeah, I was watching one of the videos, a guy was counting this as half a movement point because it was going along the road, but I think that's only if it's wheeled or tracked. There's a terrain effects chart there, and this is the movement part. You can see going along the road, for a wheeled it'd be half a movement point, or tracked to be half a movement point, but for a foot it's 1 movement point, but you get 1 extra hex. So what that means is that this platoon underneath here has got 5 movement points. So basically, if it carries along the road 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could move 1 extra and move 6. So it's not quite going to reach that one. However, there is the double time option, isn't there? So let me just find out about that. Yeah, so double time, page 12, 6.3, double time. Platoons whose movement type is foot, i.e. infantry, machine guns, and mortar, heavy weapons, may move double time and thereby gain 1 extra movement point. However, such movement may not begin. Oh, whoever's done that, I've watched them do that, and they've added 3 movement points on as well. So somebody's been getting that wrong as well. So you gain 1 extra movement point for double time. However, such movement may not begin, end, or pass through hexes adjacent to enemy platoons. In addition, a platoon may not use a double time ability on consecutive turns. Once a platoon is finished using double time, mark it with the corresponding marker as a reminder. Yeah, so there's a marker that, so it says double time somewhere. Yeah, there it is there. So you'd give it that 1 extra movement, you'd mark it with that, and then next time it wouldn't be able to do that. It'd still be able to carry out its normal movement, and then at the end of that turn, well, I dare say once you've moved it, you would then remove that marker. Yeah, that's how you would do that, I think, to make sure you didn't think you had done it like that turn. So that gives one extra movement. So I wonder if that stacks then with the road, because if that's stacked with the road, we would get our 5 movement from this platoon, +1 for going on the road, +1 for double time, and that would allow us to reach there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How important that is to reach that right away or not, I don't know, but it seems like quite a good idea. So coming up here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I think this is light woods, isn't it? It is, yeah. That's the light woods icon where there's 4 little trees, and then the one with more trees is obviously heavy wood. Well, actually, it's just called woods. So you've got light woods, which is that, and woods. So moving into light woods costs 2 movement for foot. So yeah, so we wouldn't be able to reach that in 1 move. Okay. Right, let's not make things too complicated to start with, Grant. Let's try and do something simple. Because I don't think it's essential to reach one of these. Oh, okay, I can see where some of my confusion. I was saying that one of the videos I was watching, they were given an extra 3 movement points to double time. And I'm just looking at some thread on BGG, and the guy's adding 3 movement. I'm thinking, wait, just now, what's going on? But what it is this is version 2.1 of the rules. I believe this is the most up to date. However, it was version 2 that came with the original game. I bought one of the newer games, Help Arrives, and you see anything that's in purple, which I love when they do that in the new rule books, has been changed, it's been updated a little bit. So you can see there, this is in purple, double time, and the little bit that's in purple is gain 1 extra movement point there. And I just got the older rule book out just to double check that, and right enough, here it is, 6.3 double time, and you'll see that it gains 3 extra movement points. So they must have thought that was a bit too much. It does sound like a bit overpowered, to be honest. So, however, the guy was adding on the double time, and he was also adding on the +1 for going along the road. So I think that would be okay to do that. So, one thing to remember while I was looking at that though, is some of the here's some of the combat the modifiers, the dice roll modifiers for the combat chart, and you can see one of them there is a double time target is a -2. Now also when I was looking on there, this has been changed a little bit as well. There's a bit of purple in this, so I need to keep that. It's something to do with machine guns. So I've also not got the most up to date of that chart, so I could probably do with printing that out, I think. There's a couple of little bits of purple in there, but I like when they highlight it in a different colour when they do that. I think that's excellent. So at least you see it and you say, right, have I got that most up to date? And then if I've not, then maybe take note. I could probably actually write it in here, because there's only a couple of little bits. I think it's that one and that one, and there's something else further down. So I might just do that on the chart. I don't mind doing that. So yeah, you can see though that I'm giving a modifier -2 to anybody that fires on me while you're a double time target. And remember, minuses are better for the attacker. But to be honest, they've not come on the map yet. So I think what I'm going to do is activate. Oh, that means I'm activating Foxtrot Company, am I? Yeah, well, that's fine. That's fine. 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double time, extra movement down the road, and we can get the other guys here. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna activate. What is it? Captain Ryman. Okay. So his range is 2. That's the black number. 2 there. So he can activate everybody from his own company. So these are all Fs, and the machine gun as well. And remember, the machine gun's it's got 1 less movement point over it, so you might remember that. So we're going to do that, and we're going to move this this platoon, and I'm going to move it with double time along the road. And I've got a hair there. It's come from somewhere. So he's going to move down the road, and we're going to get all the way to that objective and that building hex there. And we are just moving right through roads. So I mean that we ignore any of the terrain that we're crossing. So with double time and down the road, he's going to get an extra 2 movement points. Top of his 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're getting him right along into there. And now he's going to be marked double time. And he is also now going to be marked finished. Probably should get some of these counters out and about. Yeah, I was looking for another. I've run out of sort of storage trays. I've got counters lying all about here, but yeah, I can make things work. So that's him. That's him finished. But there's still another 3 platoons and the captain himself to move. So this other platoon underneath is then going to move next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, so he's not going to use double time and just going to move on the road and get the extra movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be him finished. I think you can move the officer. I don't think you need to leave the officer to last, but I suppose you want to make sure that he's going to be in a position to command everybody next turn, don't you? So let's move this now. This is slightly different, isn't it? Because this is not on the road to start with, so it's going to have to move into that hex, and that's a building as well. So I think that's dispersed buildings. Yeah, it is. Where is it? Dispersed buildings. You see that? Yeah, there. It's got a couple of wee buildings and sort of some trees round about it. That's that. Compared to built up area there, which is the one above. You can see a built up area is only 1 movement point for a foot movement, and dispersed buildings is 2, which sounds a little. Well, the naming of it, dispersed buildings and built up area, maybe sounds right. I think it's just the fact there's only a couple of buildings there, it's going to cost you 2 movement to move into there, whereas moving into here is only going to cost you 1. Feels a little strange, but so we'll just need to keep an eye on that one. There's obviously a reason for it. So it's going to cost him 2 to move into there, then he can move along the road. And now, hold on. He's not going to get the +1, is he? Yeah, because that +1's going to be. You would have to. My guess is he's going to have to start on the road. Yeah, and it's just below double time there. On page 12 again, 6.5 movement via road or trail. The middle paragraph: a platoon moving on foot and spending its entire movement capacity moving along the road obtains a bonus of 1 additional hex movement along the same road, because these represent paved surfaces. So, well, actually, is it not better going down there? No, because I think crossing the bocage there, bocage is not on there, but oh yeah, it is bocage. Oh, it's only 1, or is it 1 extra? I think it's 1 extra. Now, hold on. Could that be part of the actual exclusive rules for the game, maybe? Hang on a sec. Yeah, it seems to see here that it's only 1 movement point. Well, it says it's on foot. Troops may cross them at a cost of 1 movement point. Yeah, does that not mean that it's 1 movement point for the hex and 1 movement point to cross? Right. That's kind of what you would think. Me spot. This is about spotting. Yeah, because it does interfere with your spotting, your line of sight. I'll have a closer look at that once we get to it, but yeah, on foot, troops may cross them at a cost of 1 movement point. I don't know, I mean, to move into an open hex, it costs me 1 movement point. And then the bocage is on it is on this terrain chart. There's bocage there. It costs me 1 for foot to move across it. So does that mean it's 2? You would kind of think so. Is there another somewhere like crossing the? No. They're not hedges, or I mean, I suppose that's what bocage kind of is, isn't it? Fences or anything like that? It's not a fence. No. No, not really seeing anything I can compare with it. Let me go and see. Yeah, so it was asked on BGG, although I was getting a bit scared. It was most of the stuff that I found at first was all in Spanish. But I guess I'm going to get a lot of that, and yeah, well, we'll just need to log on and maybe I have to ask some questions. So it's a +1. See, does it say +1? See, yeah, I mean, what it would have been nicer for that to have a plus, yeah. +1 for bocage, so it's one to move into open, and then +1 for crossing the bocage. But anyway, it is, so it would be 2 movement. So this would be 2, and then you're just moving along the road 3, 4, 5. And then, well, we could double time them for 6. You could leave them there though, as long as the well, actually, as long as the Captain Ryman either ends up there or there, as long as he's in command of them both. I think the bigger problem is going to get moving that machine gun, isn't it? So maybe we should move that first, because it's only got a movement of 4. So, oh sorry, the bocage is here, Grant. I'm talking about there. So that would still be 2, wouldn't it? It was moving into the dispersed buildings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So, but however, the machine guns 4, 1, oh, hang on. Right, back to continue where I left off last night. I got called away there and never managed to get back. So yeah, we were halfway through moving. Right, I've got to remember I've got 23 minutes in here, so another 20 or 30 minutes on this, and should be able to wrap it up. So yeah, so I figured moving the machine gun first. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, unless leaving them here is fine if if we place the officer there, but I suppose we could double time that as well, couldn't we? I'm not really sure. Like I say, I've not really played this out. don't really know where things are going to go. Figure we should be trying to hold on to. The thing is, you don't know what these victory points are. It doesn't, because this is in this town here, doesn't necessarily mean that's the best place to be holding on. It could have a victory point of 1, and this one down here could have a 1 of 6. So we've got to kind of branch down here as well, but then you don't want to separate them. So let me think here a minute. Yeah, I started thinking about moving the other platoon that's underneath here, maybe down here, as long as it's keeping within the 2 range, heading for this one. But then this one's quite close to the Germans as well, so maybe we should kind of keep things together, I think. Okay, let's just do something and see what happens. So 1, 2 into the, dispersed buildings, and then along the road 3, 4, and then we will double time them by giving them 1 extra for that. So where was the double time markers? I've lost. There we go. So he's double timed and finished as well. And then the final platoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, I could leave them stacked, but then he's not double timed. That seems a bit. I wonder if I should just have him coming along here a little bit. What's that? That's rough. That's 2 to move through. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then of course if I crossing the blocage, that's 2 to move into there, isn't it? I could double time him into there, and then as long as we leave the officer in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be fine. Well, why not move the officer now? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and technically he's got an extra movement point because he's moved right along the road, hasn't he? Is it more beneficial to be stacked with? I think it helps for morale checks. I want to see if they're actually stacked. Again, these are things I'm gonna come across and realise later. Right, hold on then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's move this first. Right, okay. So we're gonna move this 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm just going to move him into here for 5 and not double time him. So he'll be sitting in like that, and they'll both be finished. So it's just the machine gun bow that done the double time. And then move Captain Ryman 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think I will move him the extra 1, because he's moving along the road. He started on the road and he stayed on the road, so move him into there. And that means, because he's got a range of 2, he's still going to be able to pick up then. Okay, I think that's our turn. Now, is it? I want to say that'll not be called a turn, but basically we're in the activation, whatever phase it is called. I'm not quite keyed up on the word and everything either. Where's sequence of play? Right. Activation phase and performing actions. So that's where we are, isn't it? Yeah, hang on. Yeah, so it's activation phase. So we just cycle through back and forward between, that's me had my shot. So now we're going to go across to the German side. Right, so this is where it's going to get a bit more interesting. And find out how we deal with this situation. So these aren't on the map. They're going to come on the map as 1. That's going to be their first movement point, I think. This is my understanding of it anyway. But I need to assign these to each of these. Now I know these are not on the map yet, but I still feel that these need to be assigned. You can see 2 of them are going to be high level, but 1 of them is going to be medium. Doesn't really matter which one. Maybe not in this case, but let's just say one of these was not an infantry and it was an infantry B or something. Then there's going to be a way of choosing, surely. I want to say it's in rule 7. I think I've got the book open there. Well, in actual fact, on page 8 of the solo rules, 6.4, activation phase and performing actions. So that's where we're at for the Germans. Yes. So maybe I should have a read through this, because this is quite important. So I say that that's on page 8, 6.4, activation phase, performing action, 6.4.1, activation. During the activation phase, you alternate activating officers or out-of-command platoons from the player side and from the AI side, starting with the side with initiative. Well, we'll start with the Americans with initiative. The activated officer or out-of-command platoon or intel marker cannot be marked as finished, right? Okay. During AI side activations, you choose an AI company, intel marker, or out-of-command platoon according to the priority rules described later in 7.1. Okay. Once the choice has been made, assign... Alright, so once the choice has been made, then assign a high activity level marker, if available, to that force. Right, so they don't have them on them yet. Right, good. Yeah, so that's fine. I think the fact that they're off map, we're still going to activate them. They've got to get an activity level, whether it's high, medium, or low. Okay. Yeah, assign a high one if there's one available. If not, a medium one, and if there's none of them available, then a low activity level marker. And you've always got enough markers to cover all your companies or intel markers. Next, check to see if there are any potential supporting forces available. If so, the officers try to coordinate their actions and both forces are activated at the same time. This is not valid for out-of-command platoons. The player must assign an activity level marker to the supporting force, just like every other. Right, what that kind of means in the game, you can join two companies together to perform, a joint sort of action, and this is what the AI tries to do as well. So we'll have a look at that. So carrying on, this phase works just like in two-player games with the following modification. The AI side only passes when the following requirements are met. So it's going to follow these guidelines. The AI is in defensive mode, and all high and medium activity level markers are assigned to AI forces, and the player passed in the previous activation. If all these conditions are met, roll a 1d10, and on a result of 7. Now, unfortunately, the rulebook in translation here. Now, this is the Soul rulebook, isn't it? Yes. You can see there's a little gap between the result and the 7 there. That's because there should be an either greater than or a less than symbol in there. And unfortunately, I want to see if I look... Well, let me go and check online. My guess would be it's going to be a less than... No, you know what? It could be either. I'm not sure. It's definitely missed out in quite a few places, and you can see there's a slight gap, like I say, as if there's something missing there. Let me go and check the online version of the rules. Okay, this was questioned on BGG, and somebody picked up that it's in here on one of the play raids. So you can see here AI passes. On the very last one, you roll 1d10 with a greater than or equal to 7. The AI passes and the turn ends. So maybe I grab my pencil just now. Alright, there we go, sorted. So greater than or equal... I know it's maybe not perfect, but it's good. I mean, once I get used to using these player aids, then I'm probably not going to be coming to look there. So, yeah, none of these things apply at the moment, but, yeah, there's things that are going to come up. So, performing actions. Right, this is where I'm trying to look at the book. And because I moved the map down a bit, I think I might move it up just a little bit more. Then I find myself stretching up the table, though. But I think there is going to be quite a lot to look at in the rules, so I do want a bit of space here. Okay, so where are we? For the player's side, after selecting an officer out of command platoon to activate, that player force and the platoons performing it may perform a single action. Right, we've done that. The available actions are the same as in multiplayer games, except for a new action called Recon Mission. Yeah, okay, so I should have spoke about that. So, well, without going right into that just now, it basically means to attempt to spot an intel marker. Spot, yeah, I mean, I suppose, to identify it, if you like, to recon it. Well, yeah, tells you meant to identify hidden intel markers on the board to replace them by actual companies. So that's when we'll find out what these infantry A markers actually stand for. Put that on the wrong bit. That's it. Right, okay. And the complete game mode, yeah, I didn't speak about this either. There's two versions of the solo game. There's a simple solo version and a complete solo version. Clearly, I'm usually going to use a complete one. I want it as tight as possible. The simple one I think it picks the order that the AI is going to do, and then you pick the unit or something. You make choices for yourself. Well, clearly, that's not my cup of tea. So I want the AI to do as much as it can. Okay, I understand that there might be times where it's maybe going to do something daft, and I might decide. In other games before, I've let the AI do daft things, and it can surprise you. So, although wasn't really mentioned in this game, it did sort of say if you find the AI's doing something silly, like override it, and you make the choice. But we'll see how we go with that. So in the complete game mode, for each AI side activation, take the following steps. Roll 1d10. The result of this die roll is used to assign orders to all platoons of the company using orders chart AITS 4K. Okay, check the orders assigned to each platoon. Right, follow the suitable action flowchart. Step 3, check if the officer receives a different order. 5, use the priority activation rules described in chapter 7.3. Yeah, and then there you go. There it talks about the simplified game mode there. The simplified game mode, instead of following the previous procedure, you will have to switch sides, do your best, assigning orders for the AI platoons in each activation. And then if this is the thing that they get, if you get a high activity level marker, there's a chance that they might be able to carry out a second action. So you mark them with a second action marker, and then I think that's their action for that turn or that phase. I don't know how to call it a turn, we've got 6 turns to the game, so I'll maybe call it a round, shall we say. This is the first round for the Germans. It doesn't really mention it doesn't name it as anything. Anyway, we get a second action marker, and then in the next round for the Germans, or would it get to activate right away? Well, we'll find out. Okay, and then reaction. Right, so I'm a bit. Hang on, did I miss a bit there, or hang on? Right, so jumped ahead there a little bit. There's a lot in between as well to read, but I'll come back to it. So this is about activation priority rules. This is about who we're going to select first here, because we've got 3 different intel markers, and I know they're all this. Well, they're not all the same, because if we look at the back of them, well, we're not allowed to do that as yet. But when we do look at the back of them, they are going to be different. So we do need to pick between 1, 2, and 3 there. Whether it's, I would guess it's going to be random, but maybe not. So as described in the game sequence, AI intel markers, companies and out of command platoons must be activated during the activation phase. This chapter of the rulebook, we will see in what order they should be activated. The activation order of AI forces defined by the activation priority chart AITSIB. Right, that's C. That's B there, right? Okay, I've got B. Okay, so but reading on anyway. First, look at the chart for the first AI force that meets the conditions for highest priority. Starting at A1/B1, I think one's offensive, one's defensive. So let me glance through this first. Yeah, when in offensive, check A and B for defensive. Look down the chart until you find an AI force that meets the criteria of an activation priority rule and activate it. Several AI forces meet the same priority rule. The player must consider the second priority criteria, which is first check the hexes with a greater number of objectives in play and are reachable with safe movement. See that now, this could come in it. Next would be AI forces with higher FF. That's a fire factor, I think. And the closest player platoons, then routed targets or with reduced morale. So this is a priority order. And then after using that chart and the secondary list, if there are still forces remaining, then you consider that using this chart here. So it's quite involved in how you deal with this. So I think there's an example of this in the rule in the book, which I might go and refer to. But let's just look here. So this is like you've got the offensive and the defensive part, but they're offensive. They've got a rush of 4. So we're looking at this. So we just go down this chart, I think. A1 is the first priority. So AI, it says, AI forces supporting a routed AI company that may be assaulted by player forces. Well, no. I mean, I dare say a lot of these things are not going to apply. AI companies with 2 or more routed platoons, no. There's no routed. I mean, they're not even on the map yet, so AI forces with 2 actions markers assigned. Well, no, not as of yet, but if one of them was to get that, then clearly then it would come to that one first, wouldn't it? So here's some conditions in this box. That says AI force without a reaction marker. Well, they've not got reaction markers, so is the up to 3 hexes away from an objective hex not controlled by AI forces? And then moving on to the next one, up to 3 hexes away from player forces not marked finished. Up to 3 hexes away from player forces marked finished. Well, none of them apply. The objective, I suppose the closest is here. But did it say 3 hexes? Yeah, it does. It doesn't count movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that one's 5 away. And this one down here is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. So they don't apply either. So let's just come back and carry on. I feel like I do want to move this further up again. Because my camera's hanging off the bottom of the table here. I need to move these back up again. Right. So yeah, and there's no player forces that are within 3 hexes that are either marked finished or not marked finished. So no. AI forces closest to an objective hex not controlled by the AI side. Okay. So that's now going to bring, I think, this one in, isn't it? Because he's going to come on at 700 here. He's coming on at 900. He's coming on at 1100. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from this objective. This guy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. Sorry, maybe can't see that. So this one is now taking the priority then. So that was A7. AI forces closest to an objective hex, not controlled by the AI side. Right, and then it talks here, this coordination thing here, it's for A7. Right, we've not got that in. AI forces close to an objective, not controlled by the AI side. Coordinates 1, so I think that means it doesn't consider trying to join up. I think that's what that means. Yeah, it speaks about here. The following factors must be considered when using this chart. Table is divided into 2 parts. One part is used. Sorry, maybe I should be reading that here. This is this. So this is considerations you've got to take. One part is used when the AI side is in offensive mode, which they are. Second one is used, it's split into 2, and you've got the A's and the B's to differentiate. The coordination column, which we've just seen is shown a 1, determines the number of companies that may be activated at the same time as officer coordination. See chapter 11.2 for further information about the AI officers coordination rules. It's about 2 companies joining together. So it does say that this is only a 1. So sometimes it will show a 1-2. So if you've got a chance to coordinate with somebody else, like there, like this one here, 1-2. So if you can coordinate with another company, or is it officer? It's the officer, I think, that do it. Then you would do it. If not, you would just do the 1. So, but we've only got 1 here anyway. So once you've determined which AI force to activate, assign it an activity level marker. Right. We've already read that the first ones are going to get the highest priority. So I mean, basically these should just be, well, we can see there's 2 highs and a medium. So infantry A here, that's moving on to 700, he is going to get high activity level marker. Right. So now what do? Do I just deal with him, or do I assign the other markers? Yeah, I would think I probably get him moving, don't I? Let me see. Right, well, I'm just going to jump on and assume that this is the next part we're going to have to deal with. I know there's loads of charts for all these, I was looking on BGG if somebody might have like sort of, you get these files created by the people that have a more advanced sequence of play that show you all the things to do for the solo, but there's none of that out there, unfortunately. Not that I could see anyway. But I reckon the charts, looking at the player aids here, I think it has a lot of information, and once I become more familiar with it. This was the example in the book actually that decided on which, and all the text is here for it in red, explaining an example about here's a more complex sort of situation. You can see there's infantry A's, infantry B's, AT/art A's, tank B's. It's got everything in there. So how do you decipher which one activates first? And it goes through the procedure there, and it tells you, and I think it ends up is it tank B is the one that activates first. So what it says maybe closest to this, I think it comes down to. So it could have actually been A7. No, because the Allies probably occupy this one. They probably control that one. So that might be A8. No, it's not. Whatever one it is. Have a look at the example. And I also want to say, check the errata file. I think this is one that's got a little bit of errata in here. Something's wrong. I want to say it's maybe in there somewhere. Priority A7. It might be somewhere in there. Okay, anyway, moving on. Because that's me 23 minutes. I'd like to get their activation done, and then we'll call it a part, and then I can move on to the next part. So 7.2, orders assignment rules. This is on page 11. When an AI force has been selected for activation, which is what we've done now, you must assign its orders and execute the suitable actions. For the simplified game mode, you must make the decisions and assign orders for each activated platoon or intel marker by switching sides. Well, I'm not doing that. For the complete game mode, follow the rules described in this chapter. Right. And again, there's going to be a full, not a full chart. Well, actually, maybe a full chart. There's going to be tables to follow here anyhow. First of all, determine the orders assigned to each platoon in the company or to the entire company. Well, we've only got an intel marker, so I'm assuming determine orders assigned to each platoon. So we've not got separate platoons yet, so I'm assuming it's just the entire company we're doing. This is done by rolling D10, checking the orders chart K. So I'll say that might be this one. It is complete game mode, orders chart K. So I'll get that handy, and I'll just read on a little bit. Remember, I modified the result according to these modifiers. So yeah, this it's quite fiddly here. It does go into quite a bit of detail to try and get the right choice, which I like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to just have a simple sort of just pick that. So it says +1 for each hex with at least 2 player non-routed platoons within a 3 hex range. So that's going to adjust the die roll that, if you've got player platoons nearby, it's going to adjust that. -1 for each hex with an intel marker or at least 2 AI platoons within 1 hex adjacent. So that's going to be a minus to that one. I've not really worked out how that all works, if it's more beneficial, and what the reasoning for that could be. I've not really studied that either, but there must be a reasoning for it when it was designed that way. +1 if rush resistance level is 2, +2 if rush resistance level is 1, and -2 if rush resistance level is higher than 6. Well, none of them are going to apply, and in actual fact, there's not any non-routed player platoons within 3 hexes of us, and as for intel markers, or at least 2 AI platoons within 1 hex adjacent, we've not got that either, because these are, they're off map, but let's just say that there's a gap between these two, So, so here's the chart. Let's see if we can just get into this. I can look at the rule. Use and exceptions of the orders chart. We're going to describe how to use the orders chart. yeah, I suppose I do need to carry on with this. Now, this is where all the heavy stuff's going to be, so whether it's as complicated as I'm suggesting or not, but anyway, so that's just following on from where we were. 7.2.1, use and exceptions of the orders chart. This chapter we're going to describe how to use the orders chart K, right? The chart is divided into 3 vertical sections, 1 for each activity level, high, medium and low. Okay, sounds simple enough. It is also divided into 2 horizontal sections, the upper one dedicated to the AI's offensive mode and the lower one dedicated to the defensive mode. For example, for an AI force with high activity level marker and with Rush 3 offensive mode, you only have to check the first 3 columns for the high activity level and the first 3 lines for being in offensive mode. Once you have determined what part of the chart to use, check the location of the AI forces in relation to any player platoons. That's the one that we're just talking about in case it modifies the dice. This determines a line to use in the table. Okay. Oh, I see, right. Okay, we'll see in a minute. And then, i.e., if the AI force is out of spotting range, the third line is used. Yeah, there's 3 different options there, right? Finally, determine the specific column to be used according to the type and status of the activated AI force. First column is used by intel markers, which is what we're doing. But if they weren't intel markers, it'd be all platoons accompanied without reduced morale, and then out of command platoons with no losses. The second column is used by... Oh my, there's a lot in this. Which is, I mean, like I say, that's what gets me going a bit. I think that's what I like. I like the more the better. I know it makes it more complex and scratchy head and whatever, but I like that anyway. All platoons accompanied with reduced morale, then out of command platoons with 1 lost step, and then the third column is used all platoons of companies with reduced morale, out of command and command platoons with 2 lost steps. So there's different priorities there about which you use. This way you will find what chart cell to use. In the cell you will find several possible orders. The one assigned to is determined by a die roll. This procedure appears rather complex, but is actually very fast. Consider that for an AI company formed by 3 combat platoons located in the same hex, all those platoons will receive the same order, and you only have to follow this procedure only once. The exception to this would be if a platoon had lost 2 steps, so you only need to check the orders twice. Yeah, so it depends on the state, but I mean, if you've got 3 full platoons in the same hex, they're all going to do the same thing. So, the following factors and exceptions must be considered when using the actions chart. Okay, do I really want to go through all this? There's a lot in this. Double order platoon is within range if it can be spotted and attacked. I don't think I'm going to go through this. There's an awful lot in this. Look, it goes on the next page here. Talking about engineers doing things and whatever. So let's see if we can find an order for this guy. Right, so here's the chart. And you can see the top part is for offensive. And this hang on, sorry. Yeah, this confused me the way it was done as well. Right. This bit must be for defensive, and this bit must be for offensive, I think. Yeah. Actually, if I go back to that page, does it not read it out like that? I might be better doing it that way. Let's just determine what part of the chart to use. Right, I want to be reading this side. The chart is divided into 3 vertical sections. Yeah, so the vertical sections are high, medium, and that's what that is there. It's maybe a little done differently than I would have, looking at it right away, understanding it, but one for each activity level, high, medium, or low. So there's 1 vertical section for high, that's for medium, and that's for low. Okay, good. It's also divided into 2 horizontal sections. The upper one dedicated to AI's offensive mode, so this is the upper one for offensive mode, and this is a lower one for defensive. Right, got it. Okay. And then the specific column to be used, part of chart check location, the AI forces relation to any player platoons. This determines a line to use. Okay, so we're in offensive mode, and we've got high activity. So we're looking at these three areas here, right? So let's zoom in on there a little bit, because it's high activity level. It says check the location of AI forces in relation to any player platoons. This determines the line to be used here. So you can see that it's these three lines here. So is it up to 3 hexes to a player platoon? No, it's not. Are platoons in spot and ranged? Are they placed at greater than or equal to 4 hexes? And then the third one is, are they out of spot and range? Yes, I would say. What's that? Greater than equal to 5. Platoons in spot and range. Right, well, I suppose these are all, I mean, spot and range here. Let's see if I'm getting this right. I mean, we can't spot any of that. Well, actually, can we? No, because all this bocage is in the way. And I think with bocage, you can see into the hex that the bocage, that if there was a unit in there, we could see it. If he was back there, however, it's crossing 2 bocage hexes, we wouldn't be able to see it. I don't think anything's in spot and range, but then you're saying that, Grant. Let's find out about spotting a bit clearer first. Yeah, I guess it's thrown there a little with the numbers there. It's saying platoons in spotting range placed at greater than. Right, hang on though. That's 2 different things, Grant. Because this one would be up to 3 hexes away. The reason it's saying 4 hexes is because that's beyond 3 hexes. So are they in spotting range placed at more than 4 hexes, or 4 hexes or more? And the other one is, are they out of spotting range? Well, going back to the main rule book here on page 8, spotting 5.2, it says a platoon is able to see every hex on the board that is in its line of sight. A platoon can see other units if the former has a clear line of sight to the latter and is within spotting range. So I don't think, like I've said, all this bocage is going to block line of sight to these. And in fact, come on, Grant, these are out of line of sight as well, aren't they? Yeah, because this can't see through this. You can't see any of these, even if they were in spot and range. But just to have a quick look at spot and range here. Well, this is in the main rulebook, let's say. Spot and range is the maximum distance in which a unit may see a target as determined in the spotting chart. No, spotting chart. This is in combat spotting chart. Here we go. Is that just what's written down there? That is that chart, actually. There, it's there. So you can see it's the first number in each column corresponds to a stationary target and the second to a moving target. So if they were in the open and they were a small company, platoon, they were green, infantry or AT, small, and they were in the open or on a road or whatever, then if they weren't moving, then it'd be a range of 7. But if they were actually moving at the time, then it would have a range of 10 hexes for that. So that's without going too deeply into it, let's just leave that at that. So you can see that even if we were able to see them, 7 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, I'm not able to see them. In fact, I don't think if that was clear sight to them, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Well, it is actually, but they're not in line of sight anyway. There's a building in the way here as well. So okay, so let's jump by that then. So it means that we're using out of spotting range, doesn't it? Yeah, so we're using that third row there. So it's going to be one of these 3, and this is going to determine Yeah, and that's the final. Once you determine, no, finally determine a specific column to be used according to the type and status of the activated AI force. Well, this one, we can see it. Let's have a look. So you've got intel markers, full morale companies, platoons without losses. That's what we are. We're intel markers. So we're not using this. We're not using that. We'll come back to that later. So we've now narrowed it down to one of these. This. That's what we've narrowed it down to, isn't it? Because they're out of spotting range, we're intel markers, high activity level marker, on the offensive, we roll a dice, and a 1 to 4. 1 to 4 says assault, 5 to 10 says advance. Okay. I'm going to need the dice, aren't I? Right, and then remember to modify the results according to these modifiers. +1 for each hex with at least 2 player non-routed platoons within 3 hexes. None of these modifiers apply. Rush resistance level is not 2 or 1 or higher than 6. And there's no intel marker adjacent to it. So no modifiers. A 1 to 4 is going to be assault, 5 to 10 is in advance. Right, so let's roll this and see what we get. Right, a 5. Clunky 5. I don't think I like that dice much. Oh, it's fine. It's coming out the cup and it's no... I never like when they land like that, but it's still random. So 5 to 10 is advance. Right, let's see how we go from there then. Right, okay, so I think we move on to this bit now. This is on page 12. 7.2.2, orders flow diagrams. Once you've got your orders from the orders chart, follow the appropriate flow diagram for them. So advance orders, defensive movement orders, attack orders, assault orders. We got an advance order. So this is a flow chart now. So you've got, here's the flow chart. Oops, let me zoom right out. Yeah. So this is an assault order flow diagram. And this is an attack order flow diagram. But we had an advance. So what was it saying there? Alright, there must be a different one I'm missing. That one's L. That one's L. That one's M. And that one's N. That was M and N that I looked at. Wasn't that? Yeah, N and M. So there must be another one I'm missing. Right, hang on till I find it. Okay, it's this one, L. So that's if you're doing an advance or defensive movement order flow diagram. Okay, right. That's me up 40 minutes. Starting the box that contains appropriate orders and follow the flow chart answering the questions. So let's see. There's one of these got a slight errata in it as well, if I remember. If I come across some confusing them all. Right, let's try and push on, Grant. So we've got an advanced / defensive movement order from the K chart, which is what we just done. Yeah, okay. So let's just follow that and see where we go. So may attack with MFF without moving. Okay, so MFF, so FF is the fire factor. I want to say it's the minimum fire factor. It's the minimum fire factor that they will consider firing with. We'll come back to that. They can't fire at anybody. They're not, like, they can't see anything. So they're just going to move somewhere. So may perform a safe assault. Well, no, they can't assault anything either. And in fact, assault rules haven't even been read yet. This is a simple first scenario, so I'm always just going to skip by that. Even if I'm within range to do it, I'm going to skip by it because I haven't read through the rules properly. I think it's probably better just to get through this scenario without doing that. So no. So where's that take me to? May perform a safe assault? No. So that's got select a target. And that takes you to no target then, I think. Right, that's confusing me right away. So, may perform a safe assault. no. So there's a red arrow coming to select a target, but then before it goes to select a target, it branches off. No, I think that no target's that black one coming up, isn't it? Oh. But why is that coming along there to say that says, what does it say? Move to another hex with blocked line of sight or where it can't receive an attack with MFF. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's branching off here. Why is it giving you two little bits there? I mean, I could understand if I didn't have a target, it then goes off there. I thought that was what the case at first, but it takes me down here and says select a target, and then there's no target, so then it brings me up to this. Offensive, let's just follow that one then and see where it takes us. Offensive mode, rush is greater than 0, yes. May perform attack or MFF, so that's lower than its minimum fire factor. No. So you've got to know that way or know that way. Yeah, okay, come on guys. Flowcharts are meant to take you one way or the other, not come down to a branch that takes you two different directions, gives you two different things to do. Well, if we go back to that one, it's rush is greater than 0, yes. May perform an attack lower than MFF, no. So that's just going to cycle round and round, I suppose. Okay, fair enough. So what it's saying there is, don't do that. Do that once and then realise that you can't go any further. Then go that way, and then it says place reaction marker. Right. I don't think that's what we should be doing because we're not even on the map yet. So my guess is that coming down here from may perform a safe assault, no, to select a target, there's not a target to go and select, so we shouldn't even go there. So I think we then take this right and go along here, right? And then we end up with move to another hex with blocked line of sight or where it can't receive an attack with MFF. That's it. That's its order. So that's fine. Yeah. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to move to another hex with blocked line of sight or where it can't receive an attack with MFF. Okay, right, now how do we go about that then? Okay, I think we're here next. This jumps ahead to page 22. It talks about movement. Remember, our order was move to another hex with blocked line of sight or where it can't receive an attack with MFF. So in this chapter you find special rules for moving AI forces. To move the player platoons, follow the standard movement rules for 2-player games. All those movement rules must be observed. So the AI still has to observe the rules. Apart from standard movement rules, some new rules must be considered when moving the AI side's forces. The orders chart K, along with the flow diagrams, which we've been through both K and the flow diagrams, provide each AI force with orders that could be a movement order. Not all movement orders are carried out in the same way. In some cases, AI forces must avoid certain hexes or will move following certain criteria. Like we said, we're going to move to another hex with blocked line of sight or where it can't receive an attack with MFF. AI forces may receive the following movement orders. Well, it's not actually said these orders, so we've just been told the sort of criteria to follow, to stay out of line of sight. You must define the following particulars for all movement orders. So we've got to find the movement target hex, the targeted hex that AI force will move towards. Movement type, foot, wheel, or tracked. Well, we're definitely foot because we're an infantry. Movement route, the path of hexes crossed to reach the target hex. And then destination hex, the hex where the AI force will end its movement during the current activation if the target hex cannot be reached. So I might find the target hex and then I think we've got a marker to sort of target it. but it might not actually reach that target hex. So let's see if we can break this down. Yeah, I should have realised this was going to probably go on longer. I really need to keep this going though. I think we need to sort of get this guy moved at least. So, additionally, some special rules should be observed when moving AI forces. All counters start in the same hex. Well, we're moving an intel marker, remember, which there's an arbit I've got to read for that because we don't know its movement allowance because there's no numbers on it or anything. More than one company intel marker may have the same movement target hex. Okay. The movement orders remain active over multiple game turns, so if it's not reached its target, it might carry on, but it can change if certain things happen. I want to say, see if an AI force doesn't reach its target hits in a given activation, keep both its order and target markers instead of drawing new ones at the end. Activation, flip both markers to show their in transit sides. Yeah, so they've got an in transit side to say they're still moving, you know. Right, don't need that. So we've got retreat movement there, defensive movement. I don't know which one, or advance movement. Yeah, well, it must be advanced movement, wasn't it? Because that's what we were doing. Advance and defensive movement order flow diagram. So I'm gonna have to assume that it's that. It wasn't mentioned that we were carrying out advanced movement apart from following that flow chart. So this is it though, because this is the purpose of this movement order is to reduce the distance between the AI force and the closest player force or the closest player controlled objective hex, right? When the key orders chart shows the word advance, an advanced movement order is issued. That's what we got. Yes, that's what we got. We've got advance, yes. If the orders confirm, mark the AI force with the advanced movement order marker. Okay. Right. Okay, so advanced movement order marker. So that's that here. So we're going to mark that until marker with that, I think. That's what order it's been given. Right. Okay. Right, and then they may also be if you get attacker assault, but let's keep going. After that, determine the target hex. The closest hex where an AI force can attack with MFF or perform a safe assault. Remember, we're not going to be dealing with assaults here. So with a device, a value of 3, 4, 5, or 2 if that AI force cannot be reached with MFF. If several hexes are available, choose the hex with the highest divisor value first. After that, choose an objective hex, and finally choose a hex where the AI force may attack with the highest FF possible. Well, the problem is the one we got was to make sure that we cannot receive an attack with MFF. But I don't think we're going to be able to get in range here anyway, are we? Now, the other thing I'm now needing to look at is intel markers, isn't it? Intelligence markers, movement. See, let's look at this. Intel markers don't show their movement type or movement point. This is because these particulars may differ depending on the game you play and the side the AI will manage. Thus, the Wormstorm series game you are playing will determine the number of movement points and movement types available for each intel marker. On the help sheets, you will find a chart, game 3.8 chart. Yeah, this was confusing to me, but I eventually worked it out. I think it's this one here, is it? It's not 3.8. You know what it is? It's not an 8. It's a B. I think we'll find it's a B. Yeah, 3B. 3B is I think the one I'm looking for. That's why I was confused. Yeah, here it's here. You can see this chart is. Oh no, I'm telling a lie. So it's 3B there, but it is 3.8. I'll take that back then. Sorry. So it's the same as what we've got in the bit in the rule book there, isn't it? Yeah, it's that same chart there. So well, let's look at the chart. So this is for Normandy. So obviously each game is going to have a different to this. So we are Infantry A, remember. Now we're Axis. Infantry A. Now, this, I think this is just for spotting. How can you tell if it's... Oh, no. It's telling you what it is, Grant. It's telling you what it is. It's telling you it's small. It's green. Its morale is 8. It's APFF 21, and it's got 2 in brackets. I'm not sure what. Fire factors and range. Range is 2. Fire factors 21. Of course, you've got to consider that this is a 3 platoons. Well, actually, it could be a combination of 4 platoons, couldn't it? That's what we've got in our companies. We've got 3 infantry platoons and a machine gun platoon. So if you add all that together, for us, it's 6, 12, 18, 6 for each platoon and 3 for the machine gun, isn't it? Which comes to 21. So that is the fire factors that they've got. Points 4/13. Oh, movement points. Right, so 4. So their generals 4. I don't know what the 13 is. We're going to have to see. Foot/wheeled. Right. So if it's foot, it's 4. If it's wheeled, it's 13. Well, how do you know if it's wheeled or not, though? Okay. I think it must be if it's marked motorised, mechanised, there we go there, that it would get the wheeled tracked movement. So infantry 8, yeah, I thought there felt like there was something wrong there. This is contradicting here. Although, hang on though, this little chart shown in the solo rulebook here is going to be different, because they're from specific games, aren't they? Yeah. So you can see that Infantry B has a movement of 5, but Infantry A has only got a movement of 4 then. Whereas they've got less firepower. Okay, so we're going to say they've got a movement of 4 then. Okay, let's go with that, because I do need to get this video wrapped up and see if we can just get this guy moved. That's still not telling us where he's going to go, right? But right, pause now. Right, coming back to the flow chart here, I have made a mistake, haven't I? Because when we were at here, may perform a safe assault. Well, we can't, so that's a no. And I came to this box and select a target. Well, there's not a target. Well, yeah, there is, because I mean, if we come down here, we're doing advanced movement, remember? It gives you an explanation of a target. Target is the closest hex where the AI force may attack with MFF, which is what we just read out, and that's why I was getting confused, I think. And then in defensive mode. Well, we're not in defensive mode. So we need to find this hex first. And once we've found that, we're not going to have no target. We're going to have a target. And then, is there safe movement available? It gives you an explanation. And safe movement requirements are up there. So if it is, and then it can move to that hex. So let's find the closest hex where the AI force may attack with MFF and divisors 3, 4, or 5. That means, I want to say it depends on the terrain that they're in, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it needs to have a minimum of 3. It needs to have a minimum of 10 firepower at 5, I want to say. And there's 8 power at 4 and 6 firepower at 3 or something. Or divisor 2 if it cannot be attacked with MFF. Or make a safe assault. We're not doing assault. And defensive mode, they won't. Right. The thing is, it's got a firepower, it's considered a firepower of 21, remember? This is an intel marker. So where's the closest hex it can attack with? Well, 21. And remember, its range is 2, with a firepower of 21, but that needs to be within range 2. So it could stretch out to range 4. You can fire at long range, up to double your range, but you lose half your firepower. So 21 cut in half is still 10, it will be rounded down to 10 or something, or maybe rounded up to 11. So it's still above the 10, I think. So I think we can be at range 4, find a hex at range 4 from the nearest closest hex where the AI force may attack. So looking here, this is the closest target here in this town, and the closest hex to where we could attack that from. This is a building, so it need to be adjacent. It could be here, here, or here. Now it can't be from here because the building's in the way. It can't be from here. That crosses the spine of the hex, and there's blocking terrain either side, so that's blocked as well. And there's no line of sight from there. No line of sight from there. Here there is line of sight from here. Because it'd be adjacent to the blockage. The fields degrade firepower through it. You get an extra +1 or something. If you're firing through 3 of them, if it goes through 3, the line of sight's blocked. So for instance, no, I can't give an example there though. But like I say, if there was a American unit there and we were here, we couldn't see that because there's 1, 2, 3 hexes in the way, I think. Or is it 3 complete hexes? Anyway, I think this is going to be the nearest hex to where it can attack. And it would be attacking with the full firepower. Because like I say, this is blocked line of sight. I want to say, let's just get this, take a wee look at this, and I can watch this back before I upload it. And yeah, I think we need to make some moves. This video is going to be an hour and a half. So I think that's a target, and I think use this marker. It's the same symbol as the one there with the triangle, yellow triangle. I mean, it does have, on the other side, it has that. Which could be, I'm not sure which ones to use or not, because that's like there's a wee tank icon and a wee red. So I'm not sure it's that one on the other side. I'm not quite sure. So I think that's our target. Let's just say that's our target hex, right? And let's move back to the flow chart then. Now, we've got our target. So safe movement. So safe movement requirements, it says player may not react to AI movement. So they won't. They're finished as well. So they can't react to me even if I was able to reach that hex, which I'm not going to be able to. The player may react with fire factor up to 6 hexes. So they're the 2 things that they need to be considered. Is it safe movement? So yes. So safe movement, yes. So move to that hex, right? Right, so we've got our target. I'm just reading this again from page 24. So we've now got to consider our movement type. Well, we've only got foot movement, so we've got four movement points, haven't we? So then we select the movement route. Search for the shortest path towards the movement target's hex according to the selected movement type, including as many hexes with blocked players' line of sight as possible. Yeah, it's one to stay. I suppose you could just step in here and sort of say, look, what's the most logical? But you can see they're all going to be out of line of sight anyway. And then there's certain hexes to avoid, obviously, if you're going to be able to get shot at. And then if the movement target hex is too far and cannot be reached during activation, select a hex along the way within movement range and with the highest divisor value from where the highest FF attack is possible. Yeah, none of that's coming into it. Once AI force ends the movement, if the movement's target hex was reached, remove the orders and targets marker. Otherwise, flip it over to show in transit mode. Right. So we're going to move this. It's got high activity. Right. So it's going to cost him 1 to move it. That's his hex he's got to move into to start with. So that's 1. And then, unfortunately, he's going to... The best bet is going into there, isn't it? That's going to be R2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's nothing to say that they couldn't use double time. So where do I find that one out? Right, it was asked it's on page 24, apparently. can't say I read it there, but that's not, I'm not reading through every line. Right, wait till I find it. Right, here we go. Movement type. Double time movement may only be used when the destination hex and movement route are out of the player's side's range and on line of sight. For cavalry platoons, only mounted movement is allowed. Right, so I'm assuming they're going to use that. They want to move it if they can, as long as it's not going to be in line of sight. So they are going to use double time as well then. So they're going to move that one extra hex. They're not going to be in line of sight. Now they're going to then have they're not reached their target, so we flip this over to transit, and that's them now. They're going to have a load of counters on them, aren't they? They're going to have a double time, they're going to be finished. However, there's one last thing that we need to do with this, because it's got a high activity level. Let's move that off. Let's show them double time. Let's show them. Well, actually, I don't think I've put the finished on yet. Right, let me find out about this, because there is a chance they might carry it another, because they've got high activity, they might carry it another action. So let me find out about that before we finish this off. Yeah, so rather than go down the rulebook, page 8, the first time an AI force with a high activity level is activated, perform a morale check. If successful, the AI force is marked with a 2 actions marker. Right, let's perform a morale check. Now, his morale was 8. If I look back, and that's intel marker infantry 8, morale is 8. So if we roll an 8 or less, okay, that's on a D10 clearly. So let's see what we get here. Right, so we rolled a 5. So that is the pass the morale check. I'm pretty sure that's right. It's less than or equal to the number. I just want to get this bit finished because it's getting very long. So they get marked with a 2 actions marker. Right, let me find that. Right, it took me a while to find that, but yeah, there it's there. So he's going to get marked with a 2 actions marker. Okay, so let's put that there. Double time. What does that do then? Right, the second time in that same turn that an AI force with a high activity level is activated, the 2 actions marker is removed and the company's marked with a finished. So, second time in that same turn. So does that mean he gets to do this right away? In other words, an AI force with a high activity level marker can be activated twice in the same turn, using the 2 actions marker between both activate. Yeah, no. I think what happens is he's got double time. I think I'll put. He's got the 2 actions. He's high activity level. He's got double time. He's in transit. However, he's not finished. So he doesn't get to do it right now. But I think when we come back to activate the AI again, we check priorities, and if it ends up being this guy, he can still move because he's not marked finished, and then we remove that 2 actions marker. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Right. I think that's us moved 1 unit, but there is a lot to look at with that, and I was possibly rushing that at the end there a little bit as well, because seen the video was going a bit too long, to be honest, because I think I've got 20 odd minutes to add on to this. It's going to be an hour and a half. I will leave it with that though, but you can see it's quite complete setting out, and it could get a bit complicated as we get nearer. I mean, that was a case where it was probably, I could probably done it more simply than I did, to see how to work things out. Okay. Right, okay, I'll get this copied across. Hopefully want to get these uploaded as soon as possible, but I do still like to watch them back in case I catch stuff out. But with this, I want other people to have a look and tell me if I'm making major blunders, because I'm not quite clear on how the game works. And it could well be that this is a playthrough that might completely fail as I'm doing things horribly wrong, but not done an awful lot as of yet though. But the whole purpose is to try and work out how the AI operates, and so hopefully we can move on and get it becoming a bit clearer anyway. Right, I'll get away from now. I'll be back later on for another part later. Okay, cheers.